What do you think's going on here, Sea-Milk?
This looks like a celebration of communist proportions. This looks like, and I can tell you because I can see some stuff in the back there.
Sure.
A celebration of Chairman Mao.
Yes.
The first dictator of, communist dictator of China, responsible for 70 plus million deaths of Chinese people, not of people in different countries.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's weird that, it's kind of weird that these people would be celebrating this man.
Yeah, exactly. It is strange. I guess that's what happens if you're brainwashed.
Commie LARPing.
Yeah. It's pretty awful, put it to you this way. It is the celebration of the 130th birthday of Mao Zedong. So, he was born 130 years ago, whatever. So we saw sweeping celebrations.
The good news is we've passed 1 year for every million people he killed.
Yeah.
So there's that. This is just really sad. Also, though, you can't really blame these people. They just don't know.
No.
They don't know.
That's what propaganda does to you. That's what brainwashing does to you. You have a tyrant who literally is responsible for a huge amount of your population dying of starvation and whatnot, right?
It's pretty wild, but we don't have, there's weirdos out there that celebrate Lenin, Stalin and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have Lenin and Stalin on current money. We don't have Hitler on money. We don't have Pol Pot notes, in Cambodia right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How weird is it that Mao is on the money and still revered, but he, in terms of death count, he's at the top. He's the top-ranked dictator of all time of disgusting, horrid deaths.
Yeah, he is.
And yet we're here watching people celebrate. And I get it. They don't know, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that the government still latches onto this as an opiate of the masses, right, to get people all riled up for the pride of China, it's pretty nuts to me.
I saw people putting out posts celebrating Mao as the reason why China has grown so quickly and, the economy and everything. But actually, it was only after Mao died and Deng Xiaoping took over that China actually started to get any kind of wealth. They were very poor before that happened. Mao Zedong drove China into the dirt.
Yeah, he's always celebrated as the creator of the new China, and that's why China is where it is today. But he reduced China to lower than sub-Saharan African GDP per person.
Yeah,
he lowered China to the level of being so impoverished it was at the bottom of the entire world.
Yeah.
That's not what people are celebrating.
No,
right?
they have this very unrealistic, completely rewritten idea of history.
Yeah.
And they see him as a great leader who lifted China out of, a bad situation and made China great. But he wasn't.
He plummeted China into a wreck. He made China into a country that lost most of its culture.
Yes, he destroyed
the ground.
He destroyed the culture, all of the temples.
And all the intellectuals.
Texts. Yeah, all the intellectuals had to go work on the farm or they were executed or whatever. Very bad man. Absolutely horrible. One thing that he's very well known for, though, is his swimming prowess. Okay? Seriously, and I'm not even joking about that.
Well, I just want to
explain.
Because I know a lot of this history.
Yes, go ahead.
I read a lot of books about Mao, and I read in one in particular. It was written,
poor you.
Well, I was interested.
Sure.
So it's a big part of modern China.
Of course.
And it's fascinating to understand how one man can command that many millions of people with unfettered devotion and then still murder them. Yes. And then they still follow him. It's crazy, right?
It is crazy, yeah.
So I was reading his doctor's biography about Mao, and it was interesting because it's one of the only realistic accounts of Chairman Mao because he was so paranoid about letting anyone get close to him, except he was so narcissistic that he cared about his doctor because he confided in his doctor because his doctor is the one who was keeping him alive.
Yeah.
So his doctor knew everything, right? And his doctor talked about how he got this fascination with swimming, and he came up with this brilliant marketing idea, really, to propel his image into godlike status. Be like, look, I'm going to swim in all the major rivers of China, in a country where a lot of people don't swim.
Yeah,
right.
And I mean, it's true though. People don't swim in China. If you took a percentage of the population, very few, the percentage compared to most other places. Yeah.
So his doctor was first and foremost concerned not at the safety of it in terms of drowning, mostly was concerned at the water quality because these rivers had been even back then, had been so destroyed and so polluted and so full of heavy metals and so full of awful, dangerous bacteria. And Mao just wouldn't listen to him. He just didn't believe in this kind of stuff. This is the guy that didn't use toothpaste. He switched with tea. He didn't believe in time. He would wake up whenever he wanted to, and he consumed mostly pork belly, right? This kind of stuff. this guy was not a hygienic guy, and he didn't care. So he would go to these horrifically disgusting rivers and just float around, and inspired millions across the entire country to think that he was this handsome, athletic man.
Yes.
That was able to swim, to his heart's content with no worry in the world, and inspired. This is one positive. Inspired lots of millions of Chinese people to learn how to swim.
I was going to say that was the one positive thing that came out of all of this is he actually inspired people to get into the water and swim.
Yeah.
And this sounds very strange, guys, but having lived in China for 14 years, and I used to teach kids, adults, everything in between, and I used to very often ask a classroom full of people, like, how many of you guys can swim? And out of a class of 20, maybe 3 could swim. And I'm not even joking.
It's in the lower percentages.
It's really crazy the amount of people that can't swim in China. So for a short period in China's history, people actually started to swim.
Yes.
Anyway, but when we say swim, I think it's a misrepresentation because I've got some footage of him actually swimming here.
See what you did there.
I mean, this is not swimming. That is not swimming.
I like the toilet sounds you put in there.
Well, because he looks like a turd. You know what I mean? Like with a floater. You know what I mean? He's literally a floater. Let's go back. Let's just see it one more time. His amazing prowess. This is the guy who inspired China to swim. Let's get us out of there for a second here.
Original audio.
Yes. It's like a floundering.
It's a video of a burial at sea. This is what's considered swimming.
It's just the fact that
Is he
he's
naked?
like half. No, he's not naked. No. He just used to wear like white.
No, it was almost like skin color.
Yeah, because they started out white, but when you wear white for too long, you don't wash it. It becomes like a brownie skin color. Yeah, but I mean that like lame attempt of like. It's like a floundering dead fish that you want to put out of its misery, when you see in the water. Yeah. Anyway, just had to throw that in there because if you were to believe Chinese propaganda, this is a godlike being who's just amazing and could do everything.
Under the water holding him up.
Probably is. People sacrificing themselves and they die one by one, but they form a chain just to keep him up. Anyway.
They call that stroke the dying fish stroke.
Yeah, I'd say. Anyway. Moving on from that, here's a little...
Just a history refresher.
You'll see this graphic goes around a lot. It's like Pootsmann dictator or whatever. Yeah. But it's true, though. Do you want to read out some of these stats?
I would like to look at these. Each blood drop here is the 1 million people that this dictator killed.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
So we have all the way over at 1.1 million deaths was the least. But when you get up towards the more recognizable folk that you might know... Hitler had 17 million in his pocket, and Joseph Stalin had 23 million. And Mao just dwarfs everyone.
Yeah, Mao's just like the worst.
Yeah.
And yet everybody in the world is Hitler is a bad man.
Yes.
Why is the same contempt not, Well,
I feel like the average person does think Hitler and Mao were both bad. But the problem I think I have is that those countries, even Russia, which is a very authoritarian country, is not primarily celebrating Stalin anymore, right?
No, that's true.
My problem with the China thing is that, yes, the average person in the world thinks Mao is bad. Of course they do. Absolutely.
Not if you're Chinese, though.
Not if you're Chinese. Yeah. And that's the problem I have, is they've maintained this godlike status with one of the worst men that ever lived.
True.
It's nuts.
It is nuts. By the way, before he starts... 3 times.
You gotta add mud. You gotta add water.
What is this? This is like supposed to be a TED Talk, right?
Yeah.
Or do not trust.
I like how everyone's emotional.
You have to try or you die trying.
It's okay.
Wow.
When I close my eyes, I can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind were